Hi there folks, it's Jonathan Denwood here from WP-Tonic, and in this video I'm going to be giving you advice about the best type of hosting for a membership or subscription based website in 2025. At WP-Tonic we've got a load of experience in this area. I'll be back in a few moments folks. So I'm coming back, folks. So in this video, you're looking to set up a membership website, subscription or community focused. And you're wondering what type of hosting that you will need, basically. Now, there's a lot of information out there. A lot of it's contradictory. There's some basic things you got to understand. Now, you are going to need better hosting than a website for a small business. Now, a lot of WordPress hosting you can get between $10 to $20, and it will be totally satisfactory for running a small business website, a promotional type of website. One of the reasons why this will work is a term called caching. Now, caching is used by almost all hosting providers, and it's a mechanism that when you go to a website for the first time, it will be slower to load. But then, if you return to that website, it will load much faster. Basically, the images on that website will be stored in your browser and also to some level in different data centers that the hosting provider have access to. And these data centers can be more closer to where you are physically browsing that website. So caching is a great thing. And there's absolutely in most normal situations, there's nothing wrong with it. The problem is that when students log in to consume the course, the content that you're providing as part of your membership or community elements, part of a subscription, if you're a creator, um, you don't want caching. Caching is the enemy of people that log into your website. Now, um, hosting providers that are more focused and have more experience about dealing with membership and subscription websites will be able to cope and facilitate their hosting in a way that you have the benefits of caching on your public facing pages, but the pages that are that or the community that's only accessible by subscribing, by logging in, they won't have caching. But a lot of the more wider, the non-specialist hosting providers will really struggle in working with you, and it can become very frustrating, folks. So keep that in mind. Another factor is when a student logs in and there's back and forth communication between the browser and the server, um, or the data center, each back and forth, if they're filling in a quiz, if they are in a community situation and they're through the website, they are discussing in discussions with them other members. Any communication that pulls back and forth from the website, from the database that will store that communication is more taxing and more demanding to the server, to the company that's providing the hosting for that membership and for that community. And depending on the size of your membership and the type of back and forth communication that they're having, the more demands will be placed on that hosting provider. So that's very different, like I say, once again, to a small business or a medium-sized business that is um, offering information through their website and trying to promote their business because they can cash and the demands to the server are like one-fifth the demands of a medium-sized membership. Now, when it comes to e-commerce is more demanding than a brochure website, but a membership community-focused website demands more resources than equivalent size e-commerce website, actually, because really the only demands really happen is on checkout. That's when the scenario gets similar, but a lot of the pages on a e-commerce website are totally fine to be cached, basically. Another factor involved in this, which is very different to the average website, is something called PHP workers. Now, this is a technology most WordPress websites where you need this type of hosting, um, they provide a certain level of PHP workers. But as your website, the membership grows, you need more workers, more PHP workers. And the clue's in the title in a way, because each communication back and forth is dealt with by a specific PHP worker. And the more people that are logged in to the website continuously at the same time, the more PHP workers are going to be required. Another factor you got to understand is the whole world of hosting over the past few years has dramatically changed with cloud-based hosting solutions and Docker and a host of different technologies involved in hosting. Um, Terms like shared hosting, virtual private, or having your own server are still there, but they, in some ways, they are to some extent legacy terms where more technical technologies are involved in spreading the demands of your website over a cloud-based solution. I'm not going to go too far into that because the language can become very specialized, but take it from me, the landscape of hosting has dramatically changed. So a lot of the terms that you'll find on a lot of on the web, on hosting providers, it's not incorrect, but really it doesn't apply to a lot of circumstances. I'll leave it at that. Now, what kind of price range should you be looking at? Well, it does really depend on what the hosting provider is providing. I personally think if you want a hosting provider that will provide a decent quality that you can grow into, that you might be overpaying a little bit at the start, but you won't have all the hassle of having to move. I think looking around the $30 mark is what you should be looking at, or I think that's a good place to be. And I think with that kind of price between 30 and let's say 50, you're going to be in a good place. If you're not a membership community and you're never going to be, I think you can get a good solution between 15 and $25 with a credible WordPress hosting, a reasonably quality one. I think there's a lot of people that say, well, you can get hosting for $5, $10. I've, based on my experience, it's going to be flaky. That's, I've got to be honest, that's my experience. Now, when it comes to providers, I think I'm just going to throw a few names out there. I think Kinster's a good provider, Conversio is a good provider, JetRocket.net is a good provider. One of the bigger ones that, when it comes to um, marketing websites and e-commerce is very popular is WP Engine. I don't actually recommend them, not because they don't have a good team, but they're not really focused around membership and they utilize a caching technology called Varnish and they use it very effectively. But it does have problems when it comes to a membership community focused website based on my experience, and they will be helpful and they will switch it off on the pages that people are logging in. But based on my experience, it always comes back. And it's always a constant fight with their support that are friendly, but it never gets resolved. So I can't recommend them. Um, I think there's a host of, and all these that I've mentioned, you can get start off around $30 to $40, and they all provide a starter package that you're going to be reasonably happy with. Obviously, WP-Tonic specializes in this, and we start around $35 if you pay annually, and it goes up to $55 month to month. But you get a host of extras with us around plugins, email marketing, a host of additional services that we bundle in. Hopefully you found this useful. I've written an article that goes in everything in even more detail. You find the link to that article in the video description. If you found this video useful, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the WP Tonic YouTube channel. That's the best way to show YouTube that I've helped you and it's a win-win for you and me because you'll be told when I make another video and we're making these videos every week. I'll see you soon, folks. Bye.